People are still recovering from lunch. Perhaps one of the most glorious Rukmini. It's filled with mystery and something like the relationship between Sita and Rama, the Lord's pastimes, full of Haridam, one of us. And then Lord Ram's feeling, he's the Supreme Lord. What's he doing? There's Dwaraka and Mathura and what to speak of Vrindavan. Quite ness of Krishna's pastimes. He met, but he was showing simultaneously his divinity. The queens, 18,108 different palaces, they permission from his queens. And he conducted himself with his ideal wife, which doesn't exist, conduct. He's teaching by rasa. Because it's not worldly, no manifestation of conjugal rasa. The ideally manifest into 16,108 different persons. Mounted himself on a chariot, and when he got to the Sudharma assembly, but nobody else in all of Dwaraka saw that. He was dancing simultaneously, and each one of the 7 Sankirtans was overwhelmed. And he didn't know that others couldn't see that. So Lord Brahma came. The secretary came back, and the secretary said, "There's more than one Brahma? Tell him the..." So when Brahma came before Krishna and bowed his forehead forth, each sat. How do you even think? For instruction purposes, for good Krishna reveals. And Krishna is rasa. Some of those rasas are exhibited, where there's some. She heard from Narada. And that's all. Sometime later, we'll hear the pastime of Krishna being the submissive wife and becoming. You really didn't understand what you were doing when you decided to marry me. But it's not too late, although you can decide you'd like to be married to somebody else, and it was a mistake. You didn't properly consider when you understood who she was marrying. The Supreme Personality of God. She understands. She's a learned princess. She knows the meaning of Bhagavan and Krishna history. It's not parts of it that are very profound, and you can't find the end to it. Ended up in the midday session, we heard Shukadeva Goswami's description of how Dwaraka became 23 action of the that are human-like. He was concerned for the protection of the Yadus, descriptions. And then Krishna there's a detail. Balaram had been left behind, brought Balaram to be the presiding, because he's his elder brother, the presiding person. And he was ready for battle. Now, today is Thursday. Near Dwaraka, where Kalyavana was to Dwaraka, and it took them 9 hours. Mathura is much further away. So the distance that Krishna saw almost within reaching distance, but would run a little faster. They covered a long distance. And so we're going to describe to Krishna, which we'll discuss. Very beautiful. Dwaraka has been built. Then Jara. Personally, Krishna went through all of that, into this and that, the valuables from the dead soldiers to give them to Ugrasena, because valuables belong to the king. Krishna was taking these boats with Balaram, long discussion. But if some of the favorite verses mean this and that. And then there are those that recognize, can you know that unless Krishna discloses it? Very confidential. As he's running, one way to look at it is, he was just says, although within Krishna I kept putting up this big sign. He sees them, and Kunti is bewildered by them, and she points them. Although you are feared by feared personified month, we repeat the same thing. He's afraid. It's called a lati. It'd be really easy if Kunti, we say in America, crocodile tears, fake tears. Tears were streaming down his cheeks, and the cudgel personified. Here it's said by, he who is fearless is as the form. Well, something that's eternal isn't destroyed by time, but everything that comes into being says, he who sunda. So maybe he's just pretending to be afraid. So various things in order to exchange rasa. So it wasn't for the purpose of creating feeling annoying. There's another very important thing, but it's not, it's the other. It's from our perspective. Here's 18th time, and he's running from the battle. Beyond reason. The explanation is within Krishna is everything. There's yin and there's yang. There's opposites, and those opposing that. He's just enjoying. So he's running from the battle. He's on the battlefield before he gets to Dwaraka, and he's running from the battlefield. This is religion, just any culture of the world. Stealing is wrong. He steals butter. Krishna battlefield. When kings run from the battlefield, he does what he does for his pleasure. And contemplation of Krishna's pleasure and convenience. We're going to hear. It'll help us become attached to him. So with fear, in fact, the Sanskrit word says, as if he can destroy me. But Krishna doesn't have that. He's enjoying. But he's running and running. You killed Kamsa, who now he's calling him a coward. Stand, fight. Krishna looks over his shoulder to so tall, there was always some clouds at the thing and running. Jarasandha was convinced, Krishna fight this guy. Lots of greenery, mountain to start a fire. He got oil, the fire rose up the mountain. What did Krishna and Balaram do? They were enjoying 8 miles. That's 88 miles. That's what the Bhagavatam says. I can't explain it. The explanation is Krishna did all this because he had another purpose. And one of the primary other purposes was he's Rasaraj. So how can he reside in Dwaraka without the goddess of fortune, married to Rukmini. Days from now, because we're going to be in that area where the Raivata mountain is, and we'll hear Rukmini, the eternal associate, a love affair. It's an eternal situation. So he's in Dwaraka as a prince. He gets a message. She's the daughter of King Bhishmaka, who Rukmini is. But she's the daughter of King Bhishmaka and then others, and one daughter. She was the youngest of all the children. Large family, there's the small member. And there was reason for when the sages would come, and naturally there was conversation with Sri Krishna, and he understood from his dear daughter that she had given her heart for my very special daughter. And he had a friendship with Shishupal. We'll hear more about Shishupal later. His younger sister to marry, so he went along with it. Forget it. Swami, he refers to Krishna by using the word Govinda. Dev Goswami refers to Krishna as Govinda. He's in Dwaraka. The reason is because Shukadev Goswami knew Krishna's field day today to deliver a letter to the gopis. Later in Canto 11, Krishna is discussing with Uddhava, saying the same thing. And it's seemingly like the of Brahma, but now in my absence, Krishna says to Uddhava. That's how Prabhupada has translated that. When a fraction, 1/11 of a second passes, it seems like the devotees, he's feeling those same feelings himself. So now here comes this, well, you don't do stuff like that. Or it was entertaining marrying Rukmini, that's what Vishwanath concludes. And Jiva Goswami concludes. As Radha Gangsa Kala Pungsa Krishnas to Bhagavan Swayam. Date Krishna's expansion. In that sense, it's in fact natural. In fact, it's Dwaraka portion of Goloka. There's an eternal relationship between the two. Dwarkadish, the Lord of Dwaraka. Who think that marriage with Krishna, marriage with Rukmini, so that's what he did. For Sambhog meeting. The Bhagavatam said, need to hear about something. Then he heard about Rukmini, and it lists her. She came from a very elevated lineage, very pleasant nature. She was liberal-minded, so similar to Krishna that even the markings on her feet are the same. So Krishna chose Rukmini because of their transcendental love, because of circumstance created by her brother. So Rukmini, being very intelligent, she began to consider, and my sisters or other relatives, about that I've given my heart to Krishna, and I won't be able to live. So although I'm shy, I must, dear Krishna. And she selected a very qualified to Krishna. So the Bhagavatam commentary says, Maker, that married Ramachandra Vishwamitra. So Vishwamitra in Krishna's pastimes became the same Brahma. So marriage arranged between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lakshmi Priya. His name was Vanamali also. So she prepared the letter, entrusted the Brahmana, don't share this with haste, the Brahmana made it, to get from way through all those checkpoints. And then he saw Krishna. Because remember, Rukmini hasn't seen Krishna, she gave her heart to Krishna. The Brahmana has heard about Krishna, but he hasn't seen Krishna. Now it's not, it's a Dwaraka. What are his feelings? Immediately places the Brahmana on his throne, and like he did with Narada, arrange for a bath and arrange for feeding him sumptuously and arrange for he's traveled a long distance. Speaking very beautiful words, Krishna has such affection for the Brahmanas. Not the Brahmanas by birth, but the Brahmanas. It's an art. I'm cultivating. I'm not so good at it, but you can teach that know me. You can teach people by asking questions. So that's what Krishna did. He asked us in such esteem. There's 4B. Are your views in agreement with the... He doesn't put his hands across his chest and say, Brahmana, are you pure? Carrying out duties, regardless of, as explained, duties means duties. And it's to be understood. So he asks us in a very subtle and gentle way, but that's... Another is, are you satisfied in knowledge? Because one who is fixed, then I'm not happy. But a Brahmana is one who is situated in self-knowledge. And another is your sense of success in life. A Brahmana isn't like that. They're situated in good estimation. Krishna did this in Dwaraka. Lies were spoken about Krishna. We'll hear about them. What did Krishna do when lies were spoken? Very polite and gentle and expert questions of the Brahmana. Because we don't have this situation today, but in Vedic culture, raise your family. Cats and dogs raise their family. And that's Dharma. This stressed situation which causes disease. So Krishna is offering his respect to the Brahmana. I honor the Brahmanas. Krishna is giving his reasons why. Purpose. And if you Vishwanath in detail says they're bearing somebody's message bearer, like a postal peon, like a spiritual master, Prabhupada says. If you'd like, I'll read it out loud to you. So he reads it out loud. So here I'm going to read her beauty of the worlds. Having heard of your qualities, which enter the ears of those, all the visual desires of those who see, I have fixed my shameless mind, may consider me to be shameless. Here's this girl. I've never seen her exist. But the counter to that is, I have basically nothing to lose and perhaps everything to gain. I must. Next. You are equal only to yourself in lineage, character, beauty, knowledge, youthfulness, wealth, and influence. A sober-minded and marriageable girl of a good family would not choose you as her husband, you as my husband. O Almighty One, and make me your wife, my dear Lord of a lion. Woo! Pious works, sacrifices, charity rituals, and vows, and of his brothers from one of the co-wives of Vasudeva, and one of those named Gada. So, come and take my hand, and not Damagosha's sons or anyone else. When my marriage ceremony is about, the leaders of your army, don't come alone, me with your valor. Last. But I shall tell you a way. On the day before the marriage, there's a grand procession to honor Girijas like Parvati, the Giri, the mountain. understands how to get things done. She's giving Krishna the plan. He should go alone with an army, as Rukmini had indicated. He decided to just, they got on the chariot first thing in the morning and headed for the wedding. When Balaram heard of all of these, or a vast army of Yadu soldiers to be, from the previous day, kingdom of Chedi, his name is Damagosh, he brought his own things. And so the army was there more for doing battle with Krishna. Arrived. King Bhishma was very happy. Now, Ram, in a fantastic way, as he received all of the other kings. So Krishna saw Rukmini before Rukmini saw Krishna. Maybe this, maybe that, maybe this, maybe that. You know what it's like. You're hoping for some arrived. And in a very simple and elegant way, Rukmini just burst out this emotion of wishing to give and say, may all good fortune come to you. The Acharyas say at that and the residents of, they were buzzing, you know, village talk. Krishna, they should be married to one another, not this Shishupal fellow. Durga, because that was the family deity and the tradition is speaking this way. So she understood the mood of the people. Because she's a prince. Public opinion is important for a public figure. Trying to avoid the stares of other princes and kings who are. She goes into the temple, please transfer them to Rukmini prayer, that I may also always be in the association of Krishna. Standing, Krishna takes her hand, places her in his chariot. Now, Jarasandha, dead. Now there's Krishna and Balaram. I guess they weren't dead. Jarasandha and other kings immediately suing. Balaram is there with the Yadu. He considers not worth it. They go back, strong vow, and says, I will bring after Krishna and Rukmini on the chariot. You're just a jackal. Stand and fight. He grabs another bow and weapon after weapon after weapon and doing Krishna. And Krishna then takes, Rukmini stops him. Then she has feeling for Krishna. Consideration, the royal family kinds of matters, public opinion isn't going to be very good about that one. Mary Shishupal, she's concerned about public opinion. Krishna is their only shelter, but Krishna. So the gopis and Rukmini share that quality. It's just a different kind of, not those that don't understand the nature of the love, the uniqueness of their love. So, in Dwaraka. So Krishna feels that compassion. So he just puts a cloth around his neck. Balaram sees this scene. The diplomacy, the art of diplomacy of Balaram. And then he starts putting Rukmini in her place, supporting from anyone's side. So proficient in, I don't know many people. Krishna, your action is not at all satisfying. His mustache and beard is almost comparable to killing him. And you should not have put him in such a condition. What is this useless affection for this most wicked person who to your own well-wishers and family members by shaving rude on your part, although you are nonetheless wise. Jiva Goswami comments that those that don't have friendship in Krishna, but he's taken a vow that he won't enter Bhoja Kata. Bhojam. He built a big city. Rayana has his, and we'll hear about the others that follow. Love and regard for him. He's the source of the spiritual and material worlds, exactly as Krishna is himself most fortunate to be married to, and it wasn't easy. It looked like it was going to be something else. So I'll continue to aspire for you as my husband. Wonderful pastime here in Dwaraka. And it's time for Damodarastakam, yes?